Hello. As Speaker of the House, it is my privilege to welcome you all to this celebration of awe-inspiring courage and resilience. Today, we gather virtually to bestow Congress's highest honor, the Congressional Gold Medal, on nearly 3,000 American heroes, Merrill's Marauders. Let us salute the family and friends who have continued to tell the story of these brave warriors and advocated for the recognition they deserve. Thank you to the U.S. Army leaders joining us today, including Secretary of the Army Christine Wormuth and Army Chief of Staff General James McConville. Let us recognize the members of Congress who worked to make this momentous event possible, including the late Senator Johnny Isakson, who showed his great respect for our veterans through his leadership on the Veterans Affairs Committee, and Congressman Sandy Bishop has long championed the Marauders' legacy, and former Congressman Peter King, always a reliable voice for our nation's veterans. Finally, thank you to all those joining us online to honor the Marauders' profound patriotism and unwavering devotion to duty. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please stand as you are able for the presentation of the colors and the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Toes, right shoulder up. Toes, turn, march.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me as we mark this very special occasion in a word of prayer. Gracious and merciful Lord, you are the giver of life, the igniter of faith, the provider of hope, and the author of love. Mighty One, O Ancient of Days, you have commanded us to be strong and courageous because you are always with us. Receive your servant's most humble prayer as we gather today to remember, honor, and celebrate a group of men who truly set the example for others to follow. In 1943, our nation called out, "Who will go for us? Who can we send?" behind the Japanese lines in Burma. 3,000 American soldiers responded, "Here am I, send me." The men of the 5307th Composite Unit, Galahad, Merrill's Marauders, answered the presidential call to embark on a dangerous and hazardous mission. Lord, I pray your mighty blessing on those Merrill's Marauders who are here today to witness our nation's bestowing its highest expression of national appreciation on their unit in recognition of their faithful service to our nation's people. Bless our time together today in your matchless and merciful name. Amen.
Hello from Paris. My name is Gavin Mortimer. I'm delighted to join you today at the ceremony, and I'm got my Marauders hat here, which I was given a few years ago, and which is a very proud souvenir of the 2 years I spent researching and writing the history of the Marauders in 2013 and 2014. And it was an honor for me, as you can hear from my accent, an Englishman, to write about this finest of American units whose exploits in World War II will live forever in history as a testament to the courage, the fortitude, and the fellowship of a small band of men who volunteered for a hazardous mission, not knowing what it was, but wishing to do in the parlance of the time their bit to free the world of tyranny. And I was fortunate enough to interview quite a number of Marauder veterans, and it was humbling to hear their experiences of operations in Burma, fighting against a ferocious enemy in the Japanese, but also enduring the debilitating diseases that ravaged the Marauders, and overcoming the environment too. I remember hearing tales of climbing the Kumon Mountains on the way to Michener. I mean, of course, the defense of Michener. I think what struck me most, perhaps, and what for me really embodies the Marauder spirit, the indomitability of the Marauders, was the siege at Napunga. And when they resisted waves of Japanese attacks, but they also overcame starvation and thirst and disease to emerge triumphant. And that for me encapsulates the Marauders. And it's why I'm so proud to join you today. I'm sorry I'm so far away, but I'm there in spirit and my thoughts are with you. God bless.
I'm former Congressman Pete King from New York, and at the very outset, I want to thank Speaker Nancy Pelosi for giving me this privilege and opportunity to take part in the ceremony awarding the Congressional Gold Medal to Merrill's Marauders. I was proud to co-sponsor this legislation when I was in the House, along with Senator Johnny Isakson in the Senate. This meant a great deal to me. Bob Passanisi, who was a constituent of mine from Lindenhurst, he was a veteran of Merrill's Marauders. He detailed for me all of their accomplishments, all their bravery, and he fought hard to the very end to get this legislation through, and I can't thank him enough. Sadly, he passed away weeks ago at the age of 99, but his spirit is with us today, and his legacy will continue through this Congressional Gold Medal. I also want to thank Ryan Woodward of my staff, who did yeoman work in, again, making sure this bill made it to the finish line. And again, thanks Nancy Pelosi for having it pass and for now signing it into law. Merrill's Marauders are legendary. What they did in the Burma, China theater was so essential to the Pacific Campaign. They fought their way through miles of terrain. They took the Mission airstrip, which was so essential to the Japanese and then became essential to ours, winning in that region of the war. They suffered many casualties. It was extraordinary suffering they went through. They were outmanned, they were outgunned. They engaged in more than 30 battles and struggles with the Japanese, but they were never outgutted. And their ultimate victory was very essential to the ultimate victory in the entire Pacific. So again, they were the greatest generation. They were what it was all about, and I'm proud to be part of this ceremony, which really be forever commemorating their bravery, their courage, and what it means to be an American. So thank you all, and God bless America.
Today, we honor some of our most courageous and noble veterans of World War II, Merrill's Marauders. I've been a leading supporter of the effort to bestow the Congressional Gold Medal on these deserving soldiers, And though we cannot gather in person today, I'm grateful I have this opportunity to join my colleagues in celebrating their service and valor. As a congressman representing Georgia's 2nd Congressional District, the home of Fort Benning, I'm proud to be an original co-sponsor of the legislation that awarded the Congressional Gold Medal to Merrill's Marauders. The legendary 75th Ranger Regiment, known widely as the Army Rangers, is headquartered at Fort Benning and traces its lineage to the 5307th Composite Unit Provisional. It continues to wear the Merrill's Marauder patch as its crest. Also, the Military Intelligence Building there is named after Vincent Malilo, who passed away in 2015 and was Georgia's last surviving member of the Marauders. Merrill's Marauders fought in what some refer to as the forgotten China-Burma-India theater of World War II. They fought in treacherous jungle warfare conditions and behind enemy lines, often without the resources or support available to other units operating on the front lines. On more than one occasion, the unit overcame superior numbers and arms to win the day. The Marauders' actions were vital to the Allied success and unparalleled in so many ways. It is also important to remember that Japanese Americans were members of Merrill's Marauders, serving as intelligence translators. They were crucial to the unit's success. For their accomplishments in the China-Burma-India Theater of Operations, Merrill's Marauders were awarded the Presidential Unit Citation. Every member of the unit earned the Bronze Star Medal, an extremely rare distinction among combat outfits. The Army also awarded 6 Distinguished Service Crosses, 4 Legions of Merit, and 44 Silver Star Medals to the Marauders. 25 Merrill's Marauders have been inducted into the Army Ranger Hall of Fame. Today, we celebrate Merrill's Marauders' service and add one more commendation to their legacy by bestowing upon them the Congressional Gold Medal. Thank you to our soldiers who served. Thank you to their families whose sacrifice and support were crucial during and after the war, and now as we preserve their legacy.
Hi, Congressman Mike Waltz here. As a Ranger qualified Green Beret, I am thrilled to have been a part of awarding the Congressional Gold Medal to the heroes of the Merrill's Marauders. I can't think of another unit that endured such hardships behind enemy lines in the jungles of Burma and Southeast Asia, often cut off from their supplies and literally conducting impossible missions in defense of freedom. I am especially thrilled that we could get this gold medal passed through the House of Representatives while we still have survivors of the Merrill's Marauders with us. Look, anything that we can do, we should be doing to recognize these types of heroes that set the stage for the world's longest period of prosperity since World War II, for a world order where the United States leads in line with its liberal values, and that literally gave their all in defense of freedom. God bless you. I salute you, and Rangers lead the way.
Hello, everyone. I'm Congressman Mark Takano, Chairman of the House Committee on Veterans Affairs. I'd like to extend my thanks to Speaker Pelosi for inviting me to speak today as we come together to honor the bravery and sacrifice of Merrill's Marauders with the Congressional Gold Medal. The Marauders, officially recognized by the Army as the 5307th Composite Unit, join a group of exceptional individuals and organizations as we present them with one of our nation's highest honors. During World War II, the Marauders spent months behind enemy lines in Japanese-occupied Burma. The all-volunteer unit led by Brigadier General Frank Merrill, trekked hundreds of miles through perilous jungles and mountains while battling disease, hunger, heavy rains, and hostile troops. Through all of this, the Marauders remained steadfast in their mission to disrupt Japanese communication and supply lines. After 5 major battles and at least 30 minor engagements, the Marauders achieved their final objective of capturing Burma's major airstrip, clearing the way for allies to open a critical supply route between India and China. More than 3,000 individuals volunteered to serve across the unit's 3 battalions, and by the end of the conflict, around 200 members remained. These extraordinary volunteers stepped up and served valiantly when their country needed them. Their courage and resolve and the sacrifices of all those lost is deserving of our highest honor and deepest gratitude. Now, thanks to the tireless work of veterans and advocates, Congress has the honor of presenting the Marauders with the Congressional Gold Medal today. To all of the veterans and their families with us today, thank you. We are eternally grateful for your bravery and sacrifice.
It is an honor and a privilege for me to be able to speak to the men of the United States Army's 5307th Composite Unit, Merrill's Marauders, a unit of legendary distinction. I am proud that we will today bestow upon them one of our nation's very highest honors, the Congressional Gold Medal. For nearly 3 months in 1943, the Marauders undertook one of the most daring and treacherous missions of World War II. Under constant fire from a vastly larger Japanese force, and plagued by monsoons, diseases, scorching heat, and venomous threats, the Marauders battled for nearly 1,000 miles through the Burmese jungle, eventually winning back the critical airfield at Mait Kainu. Of the 3,000 Americans who originally set off on the campaign, only 200 ultimately remained standing to seize and hold the airfield. Theirs was both a remarkable and a courageous feat. The Marauders' ferocious tenacity and the unimaginable conditions they endured have made them one of the most renowned units of World War II. Throughout my time in the Army, my fellow soldiers and I often look to the Marauders as the epitome of bravery and inspiration in trying times. Since the American Revolution, the Congressional Gold Medal has represented the nation's highest expression of appreciation for distinguished achievements and contributions. Although today's medal will be received by the surviving members of the Marauders, it also serves as a tribute to all of those men who fell in the jungles of Burma and who have passed in the years since. We owe them a debt that cannot be repaid. And today's ceremony acknowledges that, indeed, freedom is not free. The Congressional Gold Medal, awarded today to the men of Merrill's Marauders, commemorates their service and sacrifice. With their example, we are reminded how we might take up their unfinished mission to strive with courage and absolute commitment to serve the nation in order to create a more perfect union.
Colonel J.D. Kersey, and I have the distinct privilege of serving as the 22nd Commander of the 75th Ranger Regiment. Our unit derives part of its heraldry and legacy from Merrill's Marauders, and we appreciate the opportunity to participate in honoring Merrill's Marauders with the Congressional Gold Medal. Modern-day Army Rangers look to the Marauders as an example to follow. They were an all-volunteer, long-range special operations unit charged with seizing key terrain and conditions others shied away from. Like them, the modern-day Ranger is a light but lethal force of volunteers focused on strategic raids and capable of operating in places unexpected by adversaries. Merrill's Marauders were comprised of 6 combat teams. They coded these teams red, white, blue, khaki, green, and orange. Today, those 6 colors can be found on the flashes of every tambourine worn by a U.S. Army Ranger. Our unit crest displays the star, sun, and lightning bolt capturing the behind enemy lines deep strike character of the World War II Marauders. You can find this crest displayed on our uniforms and throughout our facilities. We Rangers of today salute the Marauders of World War II. Your legacy is impossible to forget. You inspire us, and the memory of your fellow Marauders does not go forgotten. The Marauders moved further, faster, and fought harder, and we strive to do the same. The legacy of the Merrill Marauders encouraged Rangers in Korea, Vietnam, Grenada, Panama, Somalia, and throughout the war on terrorism. That legacy will undoubtedly continue to inspire Americans, young and old, for decades to come. Thank you.
Good afternoon. It's my distinct honor to join Speaker Pelosi, distinguished members of Congress, General McConville, and Colonel Kersey today to recognize the heroic achievements of Merrill's Marauders, represented at today's virtual ceremony by proud family members and 3 living legends, Master Sergeant Gil Howland, Mr. Russell Hamler, and Mr. Gabe Kinney. I'd like to extend my deepest condolences to the families of Mr. Raleigh Nays and former Staff Sergeant Bob Passanisi, who served as the historian for the Marauders, who both passed away this April. We're grateful to all of the heroes for documenting and sharing their account of their unit's triumph in the jungles of Burma. We stand in awe of the legacy they leave with us. The courage and grit of the 3,000 men who answered President Roosevelt's call to join the dangerous and hazardous mission is a testament to true service and valor. Led by Brigadier General Frank Merrill, these soldiers trained hard, traveled to a part of the world to which they had never been, all to carry out an arduous mission on behalf of flag and country in support of freedom and democracy. It's fitting that the heroism of Merrill's Marauders be forever recognized and honored by the Congressional Gold Medal, and we're grateful to everyone who made this honor possible. To the surviving members of Merrill's Marauders, your achievements shine brightly as an example for today's 75th Ranger Regiment and all of the soldiers of the United States Army to follow. Your bravery and outstanding service in the jungles of Burma speaks for itself, and the ultimate sacrifice of the soldiers of the 5307th Composite Unit Provisional will not be forgotten.
Hello, I'm General Jim McConville, the 40th Chief of Staff of the United States Army, and I am truly honored and proud to recognize the legendary Merrill's Marauders and participate in this Congressional Gold Medal ceremony. On behalf of a grateful Army, we owe a tremendous debt of gratitude to this distinguished group of heroes, along with their families and supporters that helped make a day like this happen. They represent the best of our Army and the best of our nation. They answered the call for the most dangerous missions, and they faced the most brutal conditions in the jungles of Burma. They endured fierce combat, life-threatening illnesses, extreme exhaustion and heat, and in the toughest terrain one can face in battle. Everything they did led the foundation for the creation of our Army Ranger Regiment. Our soldiers are deployed all around the world in extremely challenging situations, and they stand on the shoulders of heroes like the Merrill's Marauders. Their extraordinary stories of determination and heroism inspire our generations of soldiers today and will for many more generations to come. We strive every day to live up to the legacy they have left us. Thank you so much.
By the old Momain Pagoda, looking eastward to the sea, there's a Burma bride setting, and I know she thinks of me. 'Cause the wind is in the palm trees, and the temple bells, they say, come you back, British soldier, come you back to Mandalay, come you back to Mandalay, come you back to Mandalay, where the old flotilla lay. Can't you hear those paddles chonking from Rangoon to Mandalay? Oh, the road to Mandalay, where the flying fishes play, and the dawn comes up like thunder out of China, across the bay. Ship me somewhere east of Suez, where the best is like the worst, where there ain't no 10 commandments, and a cat can raise a third. Bells are calling, and it's there that I wouldn't be, by the old Main Pagoda, looking lazy at the sea, looking lazy at the sea. Come you back to Mandalay, where the old flotilla lay. Can't you hear the paddles chonking from Rangoon to Mandalay? On the road to Mandalay, where the flying fishes play, and the dawn comes up like thunder.
80 years ago, at the height of World War II, President Franklin Roosevelt issued a call for volunteers for what he called a dangerous and hazardous mission in a faraway land. 3,000 men responded. They've become known as Merrill's Marauders. Their story is one of heroism and hardship. In the jungles of Burma, they saw war at its worst. With only what they could carry on their backs or pack on mules, they marched almost 1,000 miles, further than any other fighting force in World War II. When they weren't marching, they were fighting 5 major battles and 30 minor engagements against the Japanese in a little more than 5 months. They also battled hunger, disease, and exhaustion. And their mission sounds impossible to you. It was. Even Army leaders did not expect them to survive. As Sam Wilson, who fought in Burma and later helped the Army start Delta Force, put it, we were expendable. A plan existed on paper to get us into Burma, but no plan existed to get us out. But Wilson and his comrades did what American soldiers do. They adapted, they endured, and they never, ever quit. Why? Did they fight for fame, for glory, or even for the honor we bestow on them today? No. They fought to protect their home and preserve our way of life. Our nation is fortunate to have men like Merrill's Marauders, heroes who are willing to accept any risk when America is threatened. They embody what it really means to be an American. So, as we honor these men and remember their great deeds today, let's remember that freedom we enjoy is special, and that is why we must defend it. Thank you.
The call went out for volunteers. The mission would be deep behind enemy lines. Those who answered were a motley crew. They were told as many as 90% might not make it back. Their commander would be a man who had never seen combat. Sounds like a story that could only exist on the silver screen. But over 6 long months, this was the real life for nearly 3,000 American soldiers sent on a long-range mission to destroy Japanese supply lines in the jungles of Burma. They came from all 50 states. Some were green, others were seasoned vets. A few even came straight out of military prison to join the mysterious ad hoc outfit. Their march into history books was paved with epic hardship. For every casualty they suffered in outnumbered battle with the Japanese, 4 more came from disease. By the time General Frank Merrill and his Marauders reached their final objective, an airfield in the heart of Japanese territory, all but 2 members of the unit had been hospitalized for wounds or disease. The general himself suffered a heart attack upon arrival. But the Marauders had secured an important Allied foothold that would help turn the tide of the war. Then, as quickly as the 5307th Composite Unit had been created, it was quietly folded back into the rest of the Army. But the Marauders' legacy lives on. Their example set the bar for generations of America's most elite fighting forces, and today's 75th Ranger Regiment is especially proud to trace its lineage right back to the Marauders. So, to the literal trailblazers with us today, we're so proud to salute Merrill's Marauders and confer this highest honor.
Hi, everyone. It's Senator Chuck Schumer, and it's my honor to join with Speaker Pelosi, my colleagues, and all of you as we present the Congressional Gold Medal to Merrill's Marauders. 79 years ago, 3,000 brave Americans answered the call to accept one of the most dangerous undertakings of the Second World War. Crossing the highest mountains and penetrating the densest jungles of Burma, the unit was codenamed Galahad and marched thousands of miles deep into enemy territory. They were often outnumbered and outgunned, but they were not overmatched. All these years later, we remain every bit inspired, every bit grateful, and forever humbled by the example of these brave Americans. They put the good of their country and of their fellow citizens above their own safety, and in doing so, helped us free the world from the sting of tyranny. Today, freedom and democracy are once again in danger around the world, and we look to the sacrifices of those who came before us for strength, inspiration, and wisdom. So finally, as we say thank you, a grateful nation pledges to never forget what the Marauders did for our country and to always remember those who never made it back home. I wish we could observe this moment together in person, but wherever you all may be, I offer you and all your families my greatest measure of thanks.
Merrill's Marauders stand among the great heroes of our history. Nearly 80 years later, Americans remain in awe of their courage, valor, and patriotism, willing to go where no others would dare. When our nation was attacked at Pearl Harbor, they valiantly stepped forward and sailed across the globe, taking the fight against fascism deep behind enemy lines. Up the steep Himalayan foothills and into the dense Burmese jungle, they braved nearly 1,000 miles of some of the world's harshest terrain. Often outnumbered, these heroes never wavered as they waged a righteous battle for liberty in America and in the world. Their extraordinary hard-won success helped turn the tide in the Pacific Theater and propel the Allies to victory in the Second World War. On behalf of the United States Congress and all Americans, I am honored to present this Congressional Gold Medal to Merrill's Marauders in recognition of their bravery and outstanding service. May this medal serve as an expression of our nation's deepest gratitude and respect, and may its place in the Smithsonian remind future generations of the Marauders' fight for freedom and democracy. Now we have the privilege of hearing from 5 courageous Marauders: Russell Hamler, Gilbert Howland, Gabriel Kinney, Raleigh Nays, and Robert Passanisi.
They were comprised of 3,000 volunteers, and so this wasn't, hey, we're gonna pick these people to go. Mr. Russell Hamler actually volunteered to go on this mission and made him endure 1,000 miles walking through the Himalayas, through the jungles of Burma, with just the pack on his back and a pack mule. That's how they got their equipment in. Now, while moving through these jungles and cutting their way through there, they faced enemy combatants, starvation, and malaria. Now, what sets these men apart, right, is that during that time and using out-of-the-box thinking, they actually would throw grenades into water in order to blow up some fish, have those fish rise to the surface so they could cook them in their helmets and deal with that starvation. Whenever they would receive casualties, they had to cut up parts of the jungle in order to evac those casualties out. These men did not have artillery. They didn't have tanks with them. They did everything on foot with what they had. Talking with Mr. Russell Hamler, at one point he was injured in combat. He continued fighting, holding that foxhole where he was for 10 more days, keeping that enemy away. Now, that's the Merrill's Marauders, right? That's the men that went forward to establish that footprint behind enemy lines, disrupt the Japanese supply lines, so that America could go ahead and establish a footprint in Burma. For Mr. Hamler, and I don't know if a lot of y'all know this, but there's 4 remaining Merrill's Marauders right now alive, him being one of them. Now, sir, you are the definition. You are the definition of an Army Ranger. And you have set the example for all Army Rangers, for the military, on how we should portray ourselves. You've laid down the foundation, and honestly you have. He has laid down the foundation that has been necessary for us to build off of and make ourselves to what we are today. Personally, it is a great honor being here to give this on behalf of the Army Ranger Association. So, on behalf of them, all right, on behalf of the United States, the U.S. Army, the Airborne Ranger Training Brigade, and 5th Ranger Training Battalion, Mr. Russell Hamler, we want to recognize you with a Congressional Gold Medal.
Oh, thank you. Like in World War II, we had some of the greatest people, and all along, the United States, we have some of the greatest and the nicest people in the world, and they're always ready to help. And like gosh, I remember when the war broke out. I'll tell you something, a little story. I was 17 and a half, and me and my mother, we was in the kitchen, and the radio was on, and here the news broadcast come over where they bombed a factory in Germany. And my mother turned, "That's my uncle's factory." That's because she was from Germany. And that's just, yeah. But all the Americans, they were ready to go and ready to fight. Yeah. And now, my thing is that I would like to see them outlaw wars. I sit at home thinking and talking to myself. What? And I would like to see them outlaw wars where they would have, you know, like we have senators and congressmen, and where they have a group of people that would handle problems, like say the United States and like say Mexico, we'd have a problem, you know, and so this group would get together and iron it out in words instead of bullets. Because now I listen to that news with this thing over there where the Russians are killing little kids. I think, oh, it's so awful. People that hasn't been around killings don't realize how it's not nice. Because it's not even nice to be shot at, let alone shoot somebody else. And I would like to see a peaceful world. Okay? Here, here. And I live in a peaceful place, Baldwin Township. I was born and raised in the neighbor, Mount Lebanon. We was a poor family, though. We weren't richies. And everybody got along anyway. And that's it. Get along. Have fun.
In late 1943, when a presidential call for Army volunteers to conduct a dangerous and hazardous mission somewhere in the world, seasoned infantrymen and newly enlisted soldiers alike volunteered for this mission. And Gabe Kinney was one of them who answered the call. Equipped with only what they could carry on their backs and pack mules, the Marauders made military history by walking farther than any other American World War II fighting force, almost 1,000 miles, to complete their mission of seizing northern Burma's Myakina airstrip, which they did and which they accomplished May 17, 1944. No other American fighting force has marched as far. No other American fighting force has fought so continuously or had to display such endurance as these American heroes. Now, the Marauders, in recognition of their bravery, their service, and their sacrifice, have been approved by Congress to be awarded its highest honor, the Congressional Gold Medal. So Ranger Gabe Kinney, will you please join me to receive the Congressional Gold Medal on behalf of all Merrill's Marauders. Please accept this medal on behalf of all Merrill's Marauders for their service and their sacrifice to our nation. You and our Merrill's Marauders are truly national treasures, and it is my honor to present this medal to you.
I was a member of Merrill's Marauders unit. For that unit to have received this medal is something I am particularly proud of for the unit and all of it. For all those other members that returned to the States as I did, the rest of the group have passed away and never seen or heard of this medal. I hope that their descendants, family and descendants, could be as pleased with and proud of this decoration of our unit as I and my family was proud of it for me. There is one other group that we all want to be proud of. That is this young man that was left in Burma, did not get to return. So let us remember those now and forever. That's good, Colonel. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for allowing me to come be a part of today's momentous occasion. I'd like to also briefly thank the Mountain Ranger Association, the Airborne Ranger Training Brigade for the experience and the honor of awarding a true hero. Also, a huge thank you to Raleigh's son, Jim, for coordinating this presentation. Raleigh Nays was born in 1922 into a patriotic Midwestern family with strong, unshakable beliefs, morals, and values. Raleigh, alongside 5 of his brothers, answered his nation's call and joined the Army in order to keep the enemies of America and freedom at bay. He would then volunteer for a dangerous and hazardous mission few were expected to survive. Raleigh joined the Composite Unit 5307th Provincial and was assigned to the Red Combat Team with 1st Battalion. This elite unit of volunteers were charged with conducting deep, long-range penetration operations behind enemy lines, oftentimes engaging Japanese forces superior in number. On 24 February 1944, Raleigh and the rest of the Merrill's Marauders began a 1,000-mile foot march over the Patkai mountain range and into the Burmese jungle. While in Burma, the Merrill's Marauders were usually outnumbered by Japanese forces, yet always inflicted greater casualties than they'd receive. Raleigh and his fellow Marauders used their speed, surprise, and overwhelming violence of action to find success in the Burmese theater. Though their living conditions were unimaginable, uncomparable to today's standards, their intestinal fortitude and unrelenting courage allowed them to continually fight on to their objective and complete their mission. The 5307th was disbanded in August 1944, but their lineage directly inspired the formation of today's elite Special Operations 75th Ranger Regiment, the world's premier raid force and infantry organization. In the words of Sir Isaac Newton, he said, "If I have seen further, it is because I stood on the shoulders of giants." Raleigh Nays and the Merrill Marauders laid the foundation for past, present, and future Army Rangers. These giants set the standard for their predecessors to follow. I can't tell you how lucky and honored I am to stand in Raleigh's presence here today and recognize his service to the nation. But behind every great man is a woman that supports him. For Raleigh, and for 74 years, that was his wife, Betty. Betty was devoted to Raleigh, even up until recently visiting him daily out at the nursing home during the COVID lockdowns. Betty would continue to conduct her daily visits and sit outside his window reading letters and notes. Though Betty passed last July, I know she is still here with us today, as proud today as she's always been of her lifelong love. So without further ado, on behalf of the Ranger community, the Army, and the United States of America, I would like to formally present Mr. Raleigh Nays the Congressional Gold Medal. Mr. Nays, you are a giant amongst men. Thank you for your service and your sacrifice for this great nation. It is an honor to truly meet a real-life hero. Thank you very much.
All right, so it's a tremendous honor to be here today to award the Congressional Gold Medal to Staff Sergeant Robert E. Passanisi for his service in the 53rd 07th Composite Unit Provisional, Merrill's Marauders, for their service during the Burmese campaign in World War II. So, as many know, the Merrill's Marauders are the precursors to the 75th Ranger Regiment, and because of the courage and the bravery of men like Bob. And that's seen in his enlistment at 17 years old, and then again when he volunteered for the Marauder mission as the only person in his 250-person signal company. He is a true selfless servant. He was with 1st Battalion from the beginning in the train up in India, and then with his fellow Marauders, he experienced some of the most physically rigorous, continuous combat ever seen in the United States Army. Despite some severe illness and several combat wounds, he fought to stay on the battlefield with his soldiers. At the Battle of Michinal, which some would argue is the marquee battle of the Marauders, he was on the front lines maintaining communications for the seizure of the airfield in July of 1944. And his service to the Marauders didn't stop there. He's been heralding the exploits of his comrades for many years, and he has been the historian and both the spokesman for the association during that time. In 2016, he was inducted into the Ranger Hall of Fame as a dedication for his selfless service to the Ranger community. So Bob, it's my distinct honor on behalf of Congress to present you with the Congressional Gold Medal for your service with the Merrill Marauders and to your nation. So thank you, sir.
There aren't words expressive enough to relate my gratitude for receiving the Congressional Gold Medal, the highest civilian award given by Congress, recognizing outstanding achievement that has had an impact on history. It is a sorry fact that there are only five Marauders alive of the 3,000 who truly earned this medal. We had no idea where we were volunteering for. We didn't know where we were going, or when we would return, or what was expected of us. Only that our president asked us to. Seldom do you find such men. I want to thank Congressman Peter King, who introduced the Marauders Gold Medal Act, and along with Senator Johnny Iverson, who sponsored the act and continuously worked on getting sponsors. And volunteers, Scott Stone, who used the resources of his office to expedite the award. Not the least, Attorney Frederick Ahrens of the Hunton law firm, who fought to gain recognition and support for the legislation. Of course, there are many others who pitched in, without whose effort this legislation would not have been successful. Thank you to the 75th Ranger Regiment and their undying support, keeping the spirit of Merrill's Marauders alive. Rangers, lead the way.
All right, I'm Command Sergeant Major Joey D. Blacksher. I'm the Command Sergeant Major for 5th Ranger Training Battalion, located at Camp Frank D. Merrill. We are here today to honor Master Sergeant Gilbert H. Howland, a true living legend. And I want to say first and foremost, I am honored and humbled to present the Marauders Congressional Gold Medal today. Words cannot express a debt that cannot be paid, a cost we cannot comprehend, a thank you that falls short, but honor we must try. Master Sergeant Gilbert Howland, I also want to wish you a happy birthday. Master Sergeant Howland turns 99 years old today on 12 April 2022. Master Sergeant Gilbert Howland is a 3-time Combat Infantryman's Badge recipient. He is a veteran of World War II, the Korean War, and Vietnam, where he served 2 combat tours. Master Sergeant Gilbert Howland is a highly decorated veteran. Master Sergeant Howland is a 4-time Bronze Star recipient, a Purple Heart recipient, and is in the Army Ranger Hall of Fame. However, today is to recognize his contributions to the infamous 5307th Composite Unit Provisional, a top secret special operations jungle warfare unit that fought behind enemy lines in Japanese-held Burma. The unit is commonly referred to as the Merrill's Marauders. Master Sergeant Gilbert Howland selflessly volunteered for this secret mission with the understanding that many would not survive. He volunteered because he felt it was his duty. Master Sergeant Howland was assigned to the Green Combat Team. At the time, Corporal Howland was in charge of 2 8-man machine gun teams. The Marauders moved over 750 miles in Japanese-controlled territory in just under 5 months, by foot. Their mission was a great success, participating in 5 major engagements and 30 minor engagements, defeating the veteran soldiers of the Japanese 18th Division by disrupting enemy supply and communication lines, and ending with the capture of Mitkina Airfield in northern Burma. Master Sergeant Howland is one of 8 original Merrill's Marauders to receive the award and one of 5 that remain living today. On behalf of the grateful nation and the 5th Ranger Training Battalion, Master Sergeant Gilbert Howland, I am honored to present the Marauders Congressional Gold Medal today.
Yay.
Beautiful. I want to thank Congress for awarding Merrill's Marauders the Congressional Gold Medal. We spent 4 months fighting deep behind enemy lines. We were able to defeat a much larger Japanese division with our 6 combat teams in the jungles and the mountains of northern Burma. Our casualties were high. I accept this medal on behalf of every Marauder who fought in Burma in 1944. We can never forget the men we lost in Burma. I salute them all. Duty, honor, country.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we leave this ceremony today, I ask that you join me in a blessing and a prayer. Thank you, Almighty Father, for each of these men. They served our nation as dedicated soldiers who helped lay the mighty foundation of freedom upon which we stand today. Their selfless service, rendered to a grateful nation, honors your call for us to love one another. You imbued these men with courage, character, and commitment. They moved further than any other dismounted ground force. They energetically met and defeated the enemies of their country. They did not leave a single fallen comrade to fall in the hands of the enemy. We are grateful for the families and the leaders you blessed to form these men into a cohesive team, trained, disciplined, and fit to win on the battlefield. Bless these men, their families, and our nation. Keep the lamp of liberty shining forth brightly across our nation, and let it always serve as a beacon of hope to all freedom-loving people. It is in your holy, majestic, magnificent, and mighty name I pray. Amen.
What a pleasure to hear from Merrill's Marauders themselves, and what a privilege to pay tribute to those who fought so that freedom may ring out across the world. Nearly 8 decades after Merrill Marauders completed their mission, each of us continues to reap the fruits of their valor. And as we celebrate the Marauders' heroism, let us recommit to supporting those who carry on their legacy today. The survival of our democracy weighs on the shoulders of our service members and their families. Our nation owes them a debt of gratitude for their sacrifice in defense of liberty. So just as our military leaves no soldier behind on the battlefield, we must leave no veteran behind when they come home. Thank you all for joining us today. As we conclude, it is my pleasure to introduce the United States Army Band for a performance of the Army Song. Thank you.
march along, sing our song with the army of the free. Count the brave, count the true, who have fought to victory. We're the army and proud of our name. We're the army and proudly proclaim. Us to fight for the right and to build the nation's might. When the army goes rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won. When the army goes rolling along. And it's hi, hi, hey, the army's on its way. Count off the cadence loud and strong.